welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Katie. This is Anna.
Hi!
And I recently graduated college.
And I recently completed my freshman year of college.
So we thought, why not do a little video talking about what I wish I had known in undergrad,
And what I wish I knew going into my freshman year.
as explained by someone who was recently a freshman and someone who recently graduated. So what we're gonna do is use internet resources that are available for us from the Today.com.
Today Show, you know.
Today Show, Today.com thing.
11 things I knew before college. So I'm just gonna read them to her and we're both gonna talk about our experiences with them.
It'll be nice.
And just give you some
Yeah.
input. We're gonna also talk about some other things too, but...
You know, here we are.
College!
College, am I right?
Okay, so the first thing the Today Show says is that everybody is in the same position as you.
So, yes and no.
Yeah.
The going in initially, you're grouped together with a bunch of very nervous and sweaty seniors in high school, or people who decided to go to college late. It's really dependent on their situation. But you're grouped together, put into an orientation, and you kind of just like immediately mix with a bunch of people.
Yeah, our
And-
experience with orientation, we had like an overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So you just kind of get thrown into a random group and then you're expected to like get to know all these people and talk to them and make your classes,
Yeah.
and it's just very like high energy, high stress.
You're kind of expected to be friends with these people, and sometimes you end up staying friends with them.
Yeah,
a lot of the
exactly.
times you do, and sometimes you don't, and it doesn't really matter, but like,
Uh-huh.
it almost feels like when you're there, it's like you need to be friends with someone right now, or else you will not make friends in college. At least
Yeah.
that's how it felt for me, because like, we had a bunch of cliques, and like, they kind of formed almost immediately, and like, I was part of one. I was definitely part of one. And I really liked all the girls and boys who were in it, and it was really fun, but it was still kind of stressful, because it was like, okay, I don't really know these people, but let me like kind of
Mm-hmm.
fake it till I make it.
I have a tendency to like not to like disassociate from groups. So like my orientation group like was fine and everything, like everyone was really sweet and like friendly, but I made like one friend really because I'm not as outgoing and social normally, but orientation is a really great time to start talking to people and making friends and possibly make friends and like roommates even for the time that you'll be staying in school. I didn't meet my roommates. I got my roommates randomly assigned, but the other two girls that I roomed with met at orientation. I decided not to room with anybody that I knew from high school or like any other personal experience. I do know a lot of people from my high school that decided to go to our college, but I decided not to room with them because when I was friends with all the people that I would have roomed with, and I didn't want to go into like a high stress situation with them where I'd be living with them and have to like fights or have just like arguments and stuff like that. I didn't want to like grow to like not like the people that I had spent so much time with in high school. And I still hang out with some of those people and like talk to them all the time. Like I have a friend named Kat and I hang out with her all the time, but we had planned on living with each other essentially, but like our schedules are so different that I think it probably would have led to a conflict.
Yeah. My end of the spectrum, I guess. The girl I ended up living with, one of them, she was my best friend, and it ended up not being very good for either of us because we were both in such high anxiety, high stress circumstances, and we ended up having a falling out and now we don't talk. So it's very dependent on your situation.
Exactly. It can be done right, but it's just, you need to know what you're getting yourself
Exactly.
into.
Like, both of us had thought we were doing it right, but by the end of the school year, we had both changed so much depending on, like, our social group that we had created, you know, who we were hanging out with at that time,
exactly.
like, what we were doing, what we were interested in. It ended up just, like, splitting us apart, and I feel like if we hadn't lived together, we probably would have still been friends. But after that, the next 3 years, I ended up living with, like, a group, like a big old suite. Yeah, big old!
Big old.
I ended up living in a suite my sophomore year, and then I lived in an apartment my junior and senior years with my friends. I lived with the same two people my junior and senior year, with other people coming and going, because I lived in a massive apartment off campus, and like, you know. Now, what are you doing for your sophomore year housing situation, just so you can get an idea of what you can and what you might want to do, if that makes sense.
Like I said, for freshman year, I ended up with 2 random roommates who happened to also live in our state. So we all decided that we were going to meet up and get to know each other and talk a little bit, which is a great thing to do if you have the opportunity to meet your roommates before moving in, or like get their phone number so you can talk and arrange things. That's just like a personal tip, you know. Both of my roommates decided to live off campus, and one of them is transferring to another school. And all my other friends are also moving off campus to other houses or apartments or whatever. So I personally am going to be living at home for sophomore year and just commuting to school because that's just easier for me.
I feel like I was one of the rare circumstances where our campus offered 4-year full housing, and the first 2 years I lived in the dorms, and the last 2 years I lived in apartments that were off campus but still run by the campuses. So I could walk to class every day and walk right back to my apartments that were school sanctioned. But yeah, I think that's a good answer to the question. We kind of went off topic, but like,
but it's like,
it's fine. That's what this is for. It's a explanation of our experiences.
The second tip is to learn to deal with roommates, which we
already,
You're gonna have some differences, obviously, but the point is to just make sure that you're not like having an unhealthy situation with your roommates where you feel uncomfortable or unsafe with your roommates.
Yeah.
And if you are feeling uncomfortable or unsafe, you have your RA to go talk to. And you can also just talk to your other friends. But the most important thing is to like try to learn how to talk to your roommates and be able to come up with ways that are healthy. My roommates and I personally didn't have like a lot of like rules per se. I know some of my friends and their roommates like would keep like a chart, and whenever they had like a plan to like, oh, like I'm going to hang out with these people from like 9 to 10, they would like write it on the board. We thought that was like really excessive, so we never did anything like that. But like obviously if I didn't come home one night, like they would have texted me and been like, hey, are you sleeping at home? Like, hey, are you sleeping at someone's dorm? Like, we just want to make sure you're okay.
I think it's also important to point out that when you're going into college, if you are uncomfortable in a group that, say, some of your friends who you're already comfortable around join, like, say you're uncomfortable because they're drinking or doing some type of drugs or something that you don't like, you do not have to force yourself into that situation.
Yeah.
You don't need to act a certain way in order to get along with these people, even if you've known them for a long time and they're hanging out with new people. College is a time of personal growth, and you're gonna find a ton of people to hang out with in your college career. I personally found my group my sophomore year because I joined a club and a lot of my friends came in as freshmen, and I had just met them. They were new people, you know, like, we discovered that we all liked the same things, we all did the same things, we all had our little quirks that we somehow matched with one another, and we all became friends. So don't think that just because your friends are friends with certain people, you have to be friends with them as well if you are uncomfortable with them. That is the point I wanted to get to.
Beer and liquor have more calories than you think.
And water has 0. Moving on!
We're not going to talk too much about that because it's more up to your personal discretion, but just as she said, like, never feel like pressure to do anything you're not comfortable with doing.
No.
Know your limits, know how to be safe. At orientation, they usually talk about, like, what you, like, safe tips for drinking if you are going to do it, and they also tell you about the emergency numbers for school. Don't be afraid to call someone if someone in your group is hurt ever, because the last thing you want is for somebody to get hurt or have any problems in the future.
Yeah. And like, this is gonna sound very mom of me, but like, I graduated, I can say it. College is a time, yes, you're supposed to have fun, but it is primarily a time of learning. Don't do something that will completely discredit you in the future. Like, don't do something so stupid, and don't do something that will basically just domino affect your entire future. Like, don't get drunk and post on social media, or don't post someone else's video on social media, like doing dumb things, because companies will find that and they can absolutely 100% blacklist you from working for them. If you wanted to work for them, you know what I'm trying to say. It's one of those things where it's like a better safe than sorry situation.
Yes.
And a lot of the time, in that moment, you're not thinking that that sort of thing will happen, but it happens a lot. It happened a ton even this past year on campus. We had an entire sorority get shut down because of stuff like that. So
college is intense.
College is very intense.
It's very doable, and everyone's different, so things work out differently for different people. But just be careful and know your
Please be
limits
careful.
and know how to take care of yourself and others. And be kind. The next tip is to stay one step ahead, meaning schoolwork.
Yes.
A lot of people are procrastinators. I am not one of those people.
Hi, how are you?
I get work and I usually try to do it. Like, I go to class and then I go to my dorm, or I would go to the library and I would start working on things, because I'm someone who has very high anxiety. So when I have something on my plate, I like to get it out. Even my roommates would tell people all the time if we were hanging out with people, like, she's always at her desk, she's always doing work. I've never seen
Don't
her.
be shamed out of your work, by the way. I'm just saying.
I like never see her put her book down, like, ever. And I'm like, yes, because I like doing work and I have school. It's a lot of work. You're gonna have a lot of things to do. You don't always have to read your textbook. Sometimes it helps. Sometimes it doesn't.
I'm on the other side of things again. I do procrastinate. I'm guilty as charged, whatever. But I sort of learned after the first year that, like, you know, oh my god, this is not high school. I cannot get away with doing my homework the night before and getting an A. Like,
I even did that in high school.
oh, hi.
I'm a
I
nerd.
Like, I learned that, okay, I need to actually section out time during the week to do homework and do things and kind of, like, not force myself, but really, like, make sure I'm on track and on schedule with the work I'm supposed to be doing, because ultimately that'll lead to success in college. Yeah, that actually brings up another point. You were kind of in this boat, and I was definitely in this boat, but don't feel like if you're stuck in a major and you genuinely do not like it, do not be afraid to switch it if your college, like, allows it, or if it's easy to switch for you. Like, a majority of the time, it'll be fairly easy. There's some majors that are more complicated to get into, like nursing or engineering or something like that. But if you're switching from, like, English to Spanish or English to history or something, you can do it. And if you genuinely enjoy it more, why not? College is a time of learning, both educational-wise, but also learning what you like and learning what you actually want to do with the rest of your life. I went in as a behavioral neuroscience major, and I ended up switching multiple majors throughout that time, and finally landing on forensic and biological anthropology and history. And now I'm in grad school for environmental history. I'm gonna go to law school eventually. So it really is weird.
Yeah.
But, like, it works out.
You'll figure it out.
Figure
Like,
it
I
out.
promise.
100%.
You have advisors to talk to about all that if you
That's
ever have
true.
questions. Junior year, when I was figuring out what colleges I was applying to and everything like that, I had 6 majors on a list, or 5 majors on a list, and every single school that I was looking at to apply to had to have at least 4 of them, because I was like, I need room to change, I need room to move around. And before I even applied to schools, I decided on communicative disorders, which will eventually lead me to either speech pathology or audiology. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's really simple. It's easy to figure out. And I'm very happy in my major, and I really love it a lot, and I've met some really cool people. But going back to the thing about sanctioning your time, you have time to have a social life, you have time to have friends, but make sure you get your work done because you are paying to go to school. It's really important. I'm literally looking at my index cards in the closet. I have a stack of index cards from my communicative disorders class, like this high.
It's hiding.
They're color-coded, and in order right now, because, once again, I'm a nerd.
I've learned to read a 400-page book in 2 days.
Yeah, it's, you get
You
used to it.
learn!
I have, like, literally the stacks are, like, this high. They're color-coded by, like, anatomy, like, disorders, processes, like, it's all, everyone literally would look at me so hard when I was studying in the library, and they'd be like, what is that girl doing? And I'm like, I need this. So, you figure things out.
You absolutely.
You have other people in your major to talk to when you need to figure things out.
Another little point from that, just because, like, I think it's important to bring up, because, like, I personally experienced this, and I feel like a lot of people our age nowadays, they feel pressured to be part of a group. Now, do not feel pressured into a major that you are not a fan of, because your friends are in that major.
Oh god, don't do that.
No, because I know a few people who did that because they were like, oh, my friends are in this and it will make me money, so that means I'm gonna do it, and now they're miserable. So, like, let yourself decide and find things that you like, because you are your own person and you are the deciding factor in your own happiness.
Your happiness is, like, the most important
It
thing,
is.
especially when you're in school, because, you know, like, it's already like such a high stress like
Exactly.
environment that figuring things out and being your best self is like so important at that time. The next thing is getting to know your professors.
Yes! Okay, listen. So, freshman year, I did not know any of my professors. I was like, I got to know a few of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't get to know them, if that makes sense. I didn't really befriend any of them. I didn't really, go to their office hours unless I really needed help. I didn't really hang out with them.
Mm-hmm.
Sophomore year, I began to, become friends with my professors because I was in my major finally. Junior and senior year, I basically befriended my professors.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of my history professors specifically have become very close to me, and I love them dearly like they were family. Two in particular, one of whom I consider him my mentor. I consider him one of the reasons I'm going to grad school. He really has just helped me through everything. He genuinely cared about what I'm doing in the future, and that's what you need to find. You need to find an advisor or a professor who is willing to work with you and what you want to do, and kind of help you figure out your future and help you figure out assignments or really anything. So finding someone that similar interests, similar personality is always good.
Personally, I didn't really become friendly with any of my professors this year. I only took one class that's specified for my major, and then the rest of the classes I took were either gen eds or they were secondary requirements for my major, meaning that they aren't communicative disorder classes, but I had to take things such as physics or statistics. But I definitely do plan on getting to know some of my professors this year. A great way to do that is going to office hours whenever you have questions. When you're doing your homework, take the time to highlight things that you might have a little bit of a misunderstanding on, or things that you want to talk about or get to know more about, and going to those office hours and really talking to your professors. And that seems kind of dumb and that you might think that you're taking up their time in a bad way, but most of the professors don't ever have people in their office hours, so they're always happy to see you. I went to film hours one time, and she acted like she had never seen anybody in her office hours. I was like, oh my god. She was so happy. She was like, oh my god, hi. And I was like, hi, I'm home.
That's another thing. Learn your professor's office hours. Actually learn them.
Yeah.
Because I was one of those people who be like, yeah, I'm going to office hours today, and their office hours had ended 3 hours before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'm waiting another week. But check your syllabus.
Yeah.
Read your syllabus.
Keep your syllabus.
Your syllabus is your Bible in college,
Yes.
okay? You need to keep it. It'll probably end up being online, but still, just keep
get
it.
to know it.
Know her, study her,
Mhm.
appreciate her.
The next tip. It takes time to know who your true friends are.
Yes.
It definitely does.
Yes.
Um,
Moving right along. No.
We met in high school. I was a freshman, she was a senior. And we didn't talk for a little while after you graduated high school.
Yeah, 'cause I was really bad at communication.
Yeah, but we reconnected and we're good now and everything.
Mhm.
You might go into college with people that you already know. You don't have to stay friends with those people,
Mhm.
even if you think that they're your best friend, they might not be your best friend.
100%. It's important to go in with people you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also important to grow from them
And branch out.
And branch out, yeah. I try to force myself to be in a group of friends that were friends with my other friends.
Mm-hmm.
Confusing line of friends. So group, friends I already knew, me. I just felt like an
Mhm.
outsider constantly in this group because I wasn't really interested in the things these people were interested in. And then I found my own group and I was like, wow,
Everything feels right.
everything feels right.
Mhm.
I love these people. And I ended up living with a few of them my junior and senior year.
Yeah.
So it does work out. But just because you're not friends with them anymore doesn't mean there's something wrong with you, and it doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you lost them, and it doesn't mean you're at fault. Obviously there are certain
Yeah.
situations where you might be at fault, or something might have happened and you might feel at fault as opposed
Mhm.
to be at fault, but understand that things happen for a reason.
Yes.
And a lot of the time they're very good.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time it's a growing experience and you're learning what you do want and what you don't want, even past college, even in your future relationships. I think you understand that too.
Yeah, it was not a good year for me personally. It was a good fall semester. Spring semester went downhill really bad towards the end. What I'll say is, even if people seem to be your best friends, if they're doing things that hurt you or offend you or make you upset, and you tell them that, and they don't really learn and grow from it, and they're not willing to meet you halfway, they're not your real friends. Because if you're telling someone something that you don't like, that hurts your feelings, and they continue to do it, they don't care at the end of the day. And I've had a lot of talks with my real friends like you and some of my other friends about that, and it was definitely a learning experience for me. But
I went through something super similar, so I feel like that's kind of like, I felt like I could see a reflection of myself in you when you were going through all that stuff, and I was just like, you gotta push through it, and you gotta understand these people are not worth it.
Your feelings are the most important to you.
Your feelings are always valid. That is something I've only recently started to learn.
It's so hard to learn.
But your feelings are always valid. Regardless of what you are going through and how you're feeling, just know they are always valid, and there's always somebody who's willing to listen to you, even if you feel like there's not. You know, even if you're like, oh, I'm all alone right now, I don't feel good, like, I'm like, not having a good time, blah, 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 blah. You can talk to a counselor, you can talk to a professor that you trust, talk to your, there's guidance counselors, technically, they're your advisors as well, there's kind of like a weird duality there.
Yeah, it's complicated. You'll
figure it out, you got it, sweetie.
If I can do it, you can do it.
But ultimately, your feelings are all that matters, and your education is all that matters.
Don't waste your time on people who feel the need to be rude.
Exactly. And if you find yourself being rude, or you find yourself depressed, or not feeling good, like how you used to feel, or
seek help.
Yes, that's what I'm ultimately trying to get at. I'm like rambling here, but seek help.
There's so much support on campus. There's free counseling at most schools, I believe all schools.
Yeah, I think it's a legality.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. They have group therapy, which I know somebody who went to group therapy, and she found it like super helpful for her to like get to know people in a sense more, and also to get to know people who were feeling the same way as her.
And also, like, there are all types of counseling on campus. Like, the counseling center at our school, they have LGBTQ plus counseling, they have abusive relationship counseling, they have substance abuse counseling, which is like really interesting because I feel like
that's not like a high focus point.
Yeah,
usually.
So there's a ton of different types of therapy that you can go to. Like she said, groups. There was even classes that we had that were like these little low-key like relaxation technique classes or yoga classes for anti-anxiety, and it's just very nice.
You should never be afraid to seek help.
Exactly.
Because
I know I was.
And it's I agree with that, but how you feel is so important, and it's a really big reflection on how you're going to react to the world around you. Yeah. So you shouldn't be afraid to seek help.
You are valid.
It doesn't change anything about you as a person. You're not gonna change or be completely different to the people around you, and if anybody treats you differently because of it, they're not your real friend.
They are not worth
real. They're not worth your time. Find your interests and follow those.
So yeah, finding your interest, it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, everyone has interests.
Exactly.
Even if they're the weirdest, like, say you're really into pottery, go find the pottery club, or go find an art club that you can join where other people with similar interests are flocking to.
Just don't be like, if you like something, go for it. If there's a club for it, go for it. You need to take initiative in what you're interested in. If you're super interested in your major, maybe there's a club for your major. There's a club relating to your major that could be super cool and helpful to do and help meet people who have the same major as you or have similar interests to you. There's so many different things to do.
Yeah.
That can really help you branch out more.
I joined a few clubs, and like, I kind of went to clubs with some of my friends who were interested in things just to see if I would like it. So I joined my freshman year the ghost hunting club. Moving right along. I didn't end up liking it.
Wow.
No, I'm kidding. It wasn't the people, it just wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's totally fine. I ended up joining the fencing team, and I've been fencing for 3 years now, and I really love it. I love fencing. It's a lot of fun. It is not something that I thought I would initially like, because I am not a very sports-minded person.
It's important to branch out, find your things.
It is. I was a theater kid in high school. We were theater kids, and now I'm a sporty person. And yeah, branching out. It's great. It's awesome. You need to branch out in order to grow as a person.
As we've said 400 times
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I initially joined American Sign Language Club because it was closely relating to my major, but because I have this fun little thing called anxiety, my friends stopped going, so I stopped going.
The funny part about that is that my roommate is like super into that club.
Yeah, but I didn't know her at the time really, and I was scared to talk to her because I was like kind of intimidated, like low-key, but
like, it's just really funny because one, she's like the least intimidating person in the world.
yeah, I just don't
But also,
I-
like, when she found out, she's like, you were in the club, right?
yeah, she
And
looked at me one day and she was like,
She's like-
I know you, and I was like, oh no.
But you're always free to go back to clubs, by the
Exactly,
way.
anytime.
So, like, it's fine. I'm just messing with her.
Yeah.
But,
Or if you have
Yeah.
a friend who like midway through the year, midway through the semester is like, oh, you're in that club, I kind of want to try that. They don't have to sign up or anything, they can just go to that club and see if they like it, you know? It's the next one is to take the initiative.
I think we kind of talked about that
Yeah,
a lot.
orientation
We already
campus
talked about that,
programs,
yeah.
Be prepared for a roller coaster ride. College has roller coasters to take you to your classes. Oh, that would be so fun, dude.
That'll be great. No, college is literally the emotional roller coaster of a lifetime, but it is
We're not gonna lie.
so worth it.
It's
There are days when you just want to curl up in a ball on your floor with a box of Cheez-Its and Netflix in front of you when you have a project due the next day and you can't, but you want to. And once you finish that project, knowing damn well your anxiety and your stress is like
going down.
you,
It's yelling timber.
your anxiety will go from here to here, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, I recently completed my capstone, which is a massive year-long project. It's a senior project that you're required to do in certain majors, and for my history major, which is my second major, I had to do a capstone, and I was not excited. But I powered through it. I got a pretty decent grade on it, and I ended up with like 48 pages of text about dead stuff during the Middle Ages. So that's what I chose to do my project on.
I love that for you.
But yeah, you know.
What I'll say about that, like, you have nights where I came home one weekend to do homework and stuff. I had recently gotten a new professor midway through the semester, and she was like, okay, I need to get ahead of things, like, we've lost so much time, like, read these 2 chapters for the next class, but actually read them because it's really important for your test. Like, I'm not joking. And I was like, okay. And I came home and I put on a baking show and I did all the reading and I took notes and everything. And I went, oh, you know, it's probably like 1 a.m. I should probably go to bed. And I checked my clock and it was 6 a.m. And then I went to bed until 4 p.m. It was a rough day. I've had days where like I feel like I just need to eat saltines on the floor and cry because things get hard. It's a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie. I had a whole class where it was only 4 grades. I had 2 midterms and I had 2 finals and that was it.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, but you're also gonna have amazing days. Like my friends and I randomly decided to go to a psychic one night. Like you just find weird things to do. You find how to make the best of your time.
My friends and I just create memes.
My friends and I like, let's go out, and her and her friends are like,
Let's go to Walmart!
let's go to Walmart and find those rip-off track pants.
One other thing, so like this is another thing that I want to bring up that's not on the list.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a bad grade, it does not make you a failure. That's
something I still need to learn.
This is something that I learned, and I'm still learning now, honestly, because I'm a
Mhm.
perfectionist. But some weeks you feel like, oh, I can't get this work done, or oh, this is too difficult, and you end up crashing and burning and failing. And that's okay, because your failures do not define you.
Mhm.
Ultimately, you're gonna get to where you want to be. And the math test that you take your freshman year of college at 8 in the morning on a Thursday does not mean that you are not going to graduate.
Yeah. That's something I
You know.
definitely still need to learn. My major is very competitive, as most majors are. Every major is hard. I'm just gonna put that out there right now. Every
Oh, yeah.
major is hard in its own regard. My major, freshman year, we had a little intro class where they group a bunch of people in your major together so you can get to know each other and get to know the major. And basically, what they started telling us within the first week of school is, this is what you need to know for grad school. This is how you're gonna get into grad school. This is what's gonna bring you up. And we're all just sitting there like, we're freshmen.
Like,
And
what
they're
is this
like,
fear tactic.
and they're like, oh yeah, we know, you need to start thinking about grad school now. Which is terrifying. For my major, I basically have to go to grad school. They're telling us, you need a 3.8 to get into grad school. which is terrifying.
Okay. I'm on the other side of things again. So I'm a history anthro major, as I said. I could have had an insanely high GPA, and I like had a pretty high GPA, and I still got into grad school. But like, personal experience just kind of for me dictated that my recommendation letters and the letter that I wrote was more important than my grades. Like,
Exactly.
my accomplishments were more important than my grades. The 100 that I got on a test my sophomore year was less important than saying I was the president of the club. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's when they look at your GPA, anybody can get a high GPA from cramming for one night and then putting it on a test the next day and then forget it instantly. It's how you present yourself to the world, and it's what you actually physically know. Like, it's a lot about finding the right way to know things and the right way to study. Like, my way of studying is doing index cards and color coding them and studying them 4 at a time and doing lists and things like that.
And mine is rereading.
Yeah, so like, if you're not finding the right way to study, you're gonna study for like 6 hours and freak out and whatever. I can study my index cards for like 2 hours and know everything on the test, and then I'll just randomly go through them whenever I have free time.
Yeah.
It's about finding what works for you. Because
Finding balance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, yeah,
You're gonna crash and
it's
burn.
difficult.
I know. I feel like it took me a really long time to find balance, and I'm still learning it even as I go into grad school. But ultimately, I feel like balance is all about how much can I learn and actually maintain in my mind and understand versus, okay, I understand, like, I've learned a full chapter right now, I need to take a half-hour break or an hour break or something and actually let myself absorb the material, you know?
The next thing it says is college will fly by.
Yes!
College will fly by.
Here's the deal. I feel like I walked into my college orientation yesterday, and that was 4 years ago. I am amazed that I've already graduated. I feel like I'm still such a child, and I feel like, oh yeah, I'm going into grad school, and then I'm just like, wait a minute, I'm going into grad school.
Right.
Who? It's like, I mean, for reference, I am only 21, so like, I'm young to be going into grad school, but not crazy young. I feel like I need to still be going to college and undergrad and whatever, and oh my god. And like, in theory, I'm still gonna be crazy stressing for the next 2 years. My advice to anybody going into college or experiencing college right now is enjoy every second of it. Do not think for 1 second that it's going by slowly, because it's going by insanely fast.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think back to my freshman year and I'm just like, 3 years ago. Like, I'll see stories on my Snapchat from 3 years ago where I was hanging with friends before college, and I'm just like,
It's weird. Like, during the fall semester, I was like, wow, this is going by so fast. And then spring semester rolled around, and I was like, this is going by so ridiculously slow. I just want to be home. But now that I've finished spring semester and it's summer, I literally look back at my freshman year of college, and I'm like, where did the time go? Like, when you're walking to class at 7:30 in the morning in 5-degree weather, a half mile, you're like, this is miserable. It's never gonna be over. But it flies.
you kind of miss it.
Not the weather. But everything just went by so fast. I can't believe I just finished a whole year of college, and that I am now 1 year closer to getting a full-time degree and a job. I feel like I should still be in high school. I feel like I should be excited about going to junior prom next year, not about, you know, having finished my freshman year of college and feeling accomplished about feeling my freshman year of college and coming out with good grades and stuff like that.
Alright, so one that I want to talk about really quick is majors in general and expectation versus reality. So a lot of my friends' parents almost demanded that they became STEM majors, and if you don't know STEM, it's science, technology, engineering, and math. Now those are kind of like the big four. Those are the ones that a lot of people go into and are like not almost guaranteed a job. They're like, you know, people are always joking about how engineers are gonna get jobs or mathematicians are gonna get jobs or like this, that, and the other thing. And that's like absolutely a generalization, and I'm not saying that's true, but like I've heard a lot of people say that. Do not think that you need to be a STEM major in order to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I went the complete opposite and went anthropology and history, like I've mentioned 2 other times in this video. But don't think that just because you're not doing something that's engineering or nursing or math, and I'm absolutely not bashing those majors are incredible. Do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
If STEM makes you happy, definitely go for it. But if something like English makes you happy, do it. If philosophy makes you happy, you will find a way to make it work in your life, and you will find a way that makes you feel successful, and you'll actually end up being successful because ultimately it's your life and not your mom's or your dad's or your friends, your dogs. You're the keeper of your own happiness, and if being an engineer makes you happy, go for it. Or being a historian like myself makes you happy, 100% go for it, because success will follow you even if there's a few failures in there.
I think I'm technically classified as a STEM major
You are,
under science.
yeah.
I didn't know that until like midway spring semester when I was asking another girl like, oh, I have these things called professional electives, and she's like, oh, only STEM majors have those, and I was like, I'm a STEM major. No, but what I'll say about that is going into school, my dad had tried to convince me for years to become a lawyer. I don't know why he wants me to be a lawyer so bad. She's gonna be a lawyer. Let's switch families. But he always wanted me to be a lawyer. He always wanted me to do certain things. But I'm finding what makes me happy. And my dad likes that. He likes my major a lot. He has gotten to know more about it recently. But now he's all like, you can be an audiologist. You can be a doctor. I don't want to be an audiologist.
God.
I mean, I just don't want to go to school for 7 more years, you know?
I'm going to school for 6 years total right now, and I might get my doctorate. If I go to law school, it'd be even more. So,
Exactly. It's all about finding your balance and what's going to make you happy. Don't do anything because anybody wants you to do it.
So, I think we should end on, don't be afraid going into college. It's an amazing time, and even though we talked about, like, our experiences, doesn't mean those are going to be your experiences. Enjoy yourself 100%, because again, it flies by like crazy. It's terrifying how fast it goes by.
Another really weird tip. When you leave for winter break and you have your mini fridge and you unplug your mini fridge, leave a towel under it and make sure to open the door. Because if you don't open the door, you will have mold in your fridge and you will have to clean it because your roommates will not clean it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and a subscribe and a comment if you really want, telling us your college stories or telling us how nervous you are about going to college, and maybe we'll comment. We'll probably comment. I don't have a lot of subscribers. It's fine.
If you have any other questions, like, dude, like, let us know.
Yeah, feel free to comment questions, concerns on the bottom of this video. You know. I'm going to be uploading another video next week, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day, have a nice week, and we'll see you then. Bye.